soil and crops. How the different types of soil affect the type of vegetation that is growing in the country. Now in India we have various climatic conditions and the land also varies a lot. So different types of soils are found in the different parts of India. In certain regions, you will find more of sandy soil. In certain regions, you might find more loamy soils, whereas in other regions, you might find more of clay soil. The reason is again because of the different terrains and the climatic conditions that prevail in India. Basically, the soil texture and the characteristics of the soil is affected by the wind, rainfall, temperature, light and humidity. All of these factors are responsible for the kind of soil or the texture and the characters of the soil, right? So what do they affect? All of these things affect the soil profile and soil structure, right? So all of these things are responsible for the type of soil that you might see in the various regions, right? So what are these? These are also the factors which influence the process of weathering and causes the soil formation. You've already studied about the process that we call as weathering, and we've seen that how these factors affect the parent rock to form the soil, right? Apart from that, the climatic conditions and components of soil. Both of these things are important components of soil, determine the kind of vegetation that will grow in an area. Whether the area is cold, whether the area is dry, then what are the different components of the soil, whether the soil is clay, whether it is loamy, right? All of whether it is a mixture of clay and loamy soil, and so many different things are the reasons or are the factors which influence the kind of vegetation that you might find in any region, right? So now let's see that what kind of crops do what kind of crops grow in different kinds of soil. First of all, when we see the soil, the crops, that is your cereal crops like your wheat and gram, these crops grow in the clay and loamy soil, right? Clay and loamy soil. The reason is that both of the soil have good water retention capacity, Also, another reason is that the loamy soil has a lot of humus in it and is very fertile. So because of this reason, we see that the cereal crops easily grow in this kind of soil. Then we have the paddy, that is the crop which needs a lot of water. So such kind of crops grow in the clay soil. Again, the reason for this is that this has high water retention capacity. Why it needs more water retention capacity? As you can see in the picture also, this is the paddy farm, right? And as you can see, the farm is filled with water, right? So the clay soil helps in making the farm filled with water, so that more and more water can be utilized by this particular plant, right? This kind of condition is ideal for paddy growth. Then the soil, then the lentils and other pulses grow in loamy soil. The reason is that in loamy soil, optimum water retention is seen. That means it does not hold water for a very long time. Optimum water retention. That means, as we see in the clay soil, the water retention is quite high, but in the case of the loamy soil, the water retention is optimum and it drains rather quickly, but the moisture remains in the soil. This helps the growth of the lentils and it's the ideal condition for the growth. Then next we have the cotton plant. This kind of plant grows in the sandy soil. Why does it grow in the sandy soil? Well, because the sandy soil does not hold a lot of water and has high aeration, right? High, or rather I should write highly aerated, and the water drains rather quickly. So this is the ideal condition. This is the ideal condition for the growth of the cotton plant, right? Now, basing on the kind of soil that is found in a particular region, we can also see that where all we find the growth of such plants happening in the commercial areas or in the commercial way, right? So these are the different requirements of a particular type of plant, and we see that how the soil components and the texture and the characteristics of the soil are responsible for the growth of different kinds of plants. Now we've already talked about how there are certain type of soils which are useful in making pots. So how does this happen? How is pot made? Let's understand. Usually the pots which are very popular or around the country are the matkas and surahis of Sohagpur in Madhya Pradesh, right? So this is an area in Madhya Pradesh which is famous for its matkas and its surahis. So what are the ways in which the pots are formed? Let's understand that. Different steps. First of all, the soil that is collected is placed. Soil is placed in large tanks and cleaned. What cleaning is done? If you remember, in one of the activities we have already tried making a particular structure with the help of the soil, and over there we cleaned it so that there were no pebbles or grass or any such extra materials in the soil. So this is the first step, that the soil is collected on the large quantity and it is placed and cleaned so that there is no pebbles or any kind of extra material present in the soil. Then the next step is to soak the soil. Soak the soil for 8 hours, right? So the water is kept in the soil in this particular tank. After the cleaning, water is poured and it is it is allowed to soak in for approximately 8 hours so that there is enough moisture present in the soil. Now the third step is mixing with horse dung, right? So this soil which we have obtained after the soaking of 8 hours is mixed with the horse dung. Once the mixing is done, another step is kneading of the soil. During the mixing only kneading can be done. It can be why it can be done during the mixing, because during kneading, when you are mixing the horse dung, each and every part of the soil will easily be mixed with the horse dung, right? So why we utilize horse dung, we'll discuss it. But first of all, once we have mixed the soil and we've kneaded it properly, then what we are going to do is we are going to keep the kneaded soil on a wheel. Is placed on a wheel and appropriate shape is given. Now as you can see in this picture over here, how the kneaded soil is placed on the wheel over here and appropriate shape is given. Whatever kind of shape we need, as you can see, that kind of shape is given. Understand, this is just a crude shape and it is not this is a free shape, and any kind of, you must have seen matkas, you must have seen surahis, and on that you will see that there are small beautiful ornamentation is there, where certain kind of maybe there is a design of flower or beautiful plants and different things are there on the surahi. That is done later. First of all, it is placed on a fast moving wheel and the shape is given with the help of the hands. Then what happens is that once the final shape is given with the help of the hand, proper shape is given, then it is painted. If paint is needed, painted after 3 days of drying. So, after 3 days of drying, right? So, painting is done once the pot or whatever matka or surahi is dried off. Then the paint is done, and whatever color is there, that is given to that particular surahi and matka. And all the temperature, all these items which are made of the soil are dried in the high temperature. Large furnaces are used for the same. These surahis and matkas and pots are kept in the large furnaces so that proper drying can take place and these become hard. Now over here comes the importance of the horse dung. That upon heating, what happens is that the horse dung opens up the pores in the pot. Now, if you know that matkas and surahis are used during the summers for keeping the water cold, and this is the reason why the horse dung is added, so that when the horse dung is heated, it opens up small pores in the matkas and surahis, and evaporation of water takes place through them. Because of this evaporation of the water, whatever water water is kept in the matka and surahi are kept cool during the summer seasons, right? And this is the importance of the horse dung in making the pots, right? Now, once we've understood another use of your soil, let's talk about a particular phenomena which is quite dangerous and is known as soil erosion. Soil erosion occurs by the action of wind, water and ice, right? Usually it is seen in the areas which are barren. Barren means they do not have vegetation covering on them. Why it is seen mostly in the areas that are barren? Because the roots of the plant are helpful in binding the soil together. But in the land which might be barren, you will see that there are no roots binding the soil and it becomes exposed to all of these natural phenomena causing the erosion of the topsoil. That means when the water is flowing from this region, it will take away the topsoil along with it. And we have already said, we've already talked that how the topsoil contains a lot of humus and is useful in keeping the soil fertile and supporting a lot of vegetation, right? Water is again a very dangerous, you can say it is one of the major erodent. It is causing a lot of erosion because it takes away lot of soil with it. As you can see, this whole pattern is made because of the water that might have flowed in this region. The whole area has been eroded. The topsoil is eroded, causing the land to become further infertile and thus barren, right? How we can prevent it? We can prevent the soil erosion by preventing deforestation. If we plant more and more plants, if we increase the vegetation growth or the all over the area of a barren land, we will see that there is a decrease in the soil erosion, right? So this is a very important phenomena to understand the causes as well and what we can do to prevent soil erosion. So in this way, we talked about the importance of soil in supporting the vegetation and what are the different climatic conditions and components of the soil which affect the vegetation of a particular region. Now let's move on and answer some of the questions.